Hello and welcome to the demonstration of the RAMscaler storage software. Today I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the management console that enables you to import all of the available memory from every host and create a large storage cluster from that available memory. So the first thing I do is I go to using my browser, just go to the web page of the management console login, and I just type in the default user ID and password. And the default user ID is ZIO admin, and the default password is fastest storage in the world, as one word. Okay, so I'm just going to log on, and once I'm in the management console here, I can see the dashboard. I get the dashboard, gives me a quick overview of the version of software that's installed, platform that's running on, and some idea of the cluster configuration that's already configured in the environment. So this is actually a pre-configured environment with 4 nodes, 1 cluster configured. Then I get a rough idea of the overall cluster storage capacity. In this case, of the 4 nodes, across the 4 nodes, I've got 65 gig of storage capacity, and the available storage is 62 gig. That's available capacity minus any metadata and other things that we need to just put on the available storage to track data location. All right, so that's the dashboard, and we're going to continue to enhance this dashboard in future versions. But it's a convenient place that you can go to very quickly to see how things are going. We're going to add some performance numbers and things like that in here as well. Okay, so over on the left is where I can select various pages in the management console to go to. And so I'm just going to go down the list here on the left. So first of all, I can configure user accounts, local users. This is users managed by the management server, or we can use Active Directory to authenticate users into the management console if we have Active Directory available, and that's what you would prefer to use as the source for user accounts that are able to access the management console. That requires some further configuration if you do need to use Active Directory. Okay, moving down the left here, we've got system configuration, and this is just basic email configuration. This is a email address that we can send alerts to. This could be an email group that have a number of administrators in it or whatever. You can set up an email messaging feature that can then send those email addresses you specify information about performance, about storage capacity, notifications of things like running out of space, things like that. And then of course our Active Directory configuration here, which is where we specify obviously the information about the Active Directory environment if we're going to be using Active Directory user authentication in the management console. Okay, moving down here, we've got some tasks that we can specify, and this is a very convenient thing. We can upload scripts that are using standard Linux programming languages. They could be Bash scripts, Perl, Python, etc. And what you could do is you could, for example, set up a script to do a copy of a certain directory or synchronization of data, or you can force some snapshotting, or you can there's all sorts of things that you can do here. Really, the possibilities are limitless. Anything you can really do in Linux, you can do using a script that you can then execute at certain times of the day, certain days of the week, certain weeks of the month, etc. You could specify exactly when you want the script to run. So this is a very convenient place for you to go to set up scheduled tasks. All right, so getting into the meaty bits here. So nodes. So these are the what we call the worker VMs. These are on each of the hypervisor hosts. In this case, it's a VMware environment. So on every VMware host, we've got our worker VM, or our node VM, we call it, installed. And what we do is we go into this management console, and we add those node VMs, and then the management console is able to manage those node VMs, create a cluster, share that storage capacity using NFS or whatever. So this is where you go to add new nodes. to the storage cluster. All right. So if you go to the storage section, this is where we can specify, what nodes are serving how much data into a volume, and then that volume is effectively a cluster of available storage that we share. And as you can see here, we've got shared and unshared. Effectively, when we're setting this up, we set up a number of nodes initially, we create a volume. We can add more nodes afterwards, and we can add those to an existing volume. We can migrate data off a volume if we need to, so that we can remove those nodes if you're wanting to decommission certain nodes by selecting this remove button. And then what happens is unshared volumes appear in this box here, and it's a drag and drop. So you can drag from this box to this box and back, and effectively you will then be sharing the volume's capacity using NFS, and then you can go to the VMware side and you can mount that volume, you can mount that storage, and that becomes a data store on the VMware side. So this is very, very easy to set up. You can actually get in here, you can add all these new nodes that may not be configured already in a volume. You can add those to existing storage clusters, existing volumes, or you can create a new cluster if you want. And you can have multiple volumes here, shared for different reasons, for different types of data sets or whatever you'd like. This is very, very simple to set up. Adding nodes, creating volumes, sharing those volumes, that becomes the storage cluster that on the VMware side looks like a data store. Super, super simple. So this is where you spend most of your time managing the storage configuration, changing it if you need to. But usually once it's set up, you don't usually need to come back in here and do very much, other than, if you just needed to add more nodes or remove older nodes, if you were decommissioning physical servers, for example, or you're taking them offline. So this is where you spend most of your time, in the storage configuration itself. Logging, so we have standard system logs, standard sys logs. This really tells you, what's going on at a very detailed level. You can scroll up and down here, look at previous entries in these log files. This is really to help us diagnose any issues that you might be having. It quickly tells us, where there might be an issue and where we can fix a problem if there is one. Potentially remove a bottleneck, those sorts of things. Okay, on the services side, we are looking really at things like Rsync. This is where we can synchronize data. We can move data around if we need to between systems that talk the Rsync protocol, and we can manage key pairs and things like that also from here. This enables systems to get into the node or worker VMs without having to deal with login credentials. So this really enables the SSH key pair capability, enables third-party systems to get in without having to authenticate. So you can see very easily here, you can get the private key, the public key, and use those to enable external systems to access this environment if you want it to. So this is very, very easy to use. Rsync is very easy. It's a very established capability to move data around. You can rsync data between RAMscaler storage and other storage systems that might also talk Rsync. We can present also other SANs and other types of storage to RAMscaler and replicate data to those. If you want to just basically do a snapshot on a backup, maybe to your existing SAN from RAMscaler, you can do that very easily using Rsync, or using even the cron mechanism, just to run a script at a certain time of the day that would go and do that for you. Now we have the ability to log in at a command line though, so anything you're doing here is not supported by us, but this is where you can go in and check out things. If you do need to log a support call with RAMscaler for whatever reason, this is probably where we'll help you. In this area here, we will go in here, check out log files, change some configuration, or check configuration potentially of the environment, and just diagnose issues very quickly from command line. Most of the time, what we're doing at command line is just kind of reading data, looking at information, looking at log files potentially that are not exposed through the management console, just to see the health of the environment, we recommend strongly that all configuration is done within the management console here and not done at command line. And this restore configuration button, this is for restoring previous known good configurations. So we're not gonna touch that right now. Okay, so that's the management console. Very, very easy to use. And so getting the RAMscaler technology set up in your environment is very quick. The management console is very easy to use, as you could see. Getting the storage capacity created from lots of smaller amounts of memory that are sitting on servers that are available, as you could see, is a pretty quick and easy task. So thank you very much for your time. Look forward to talking to you again soon.